From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8.
Now, the latest news.
Kylie Conway has the latest news. The top headlines. News you can use.
Please stand by.
Sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling. Now, here's Wish TV's Kylie Conway.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is the News 8 Daily 8 for Friday, November 5th. A very similar day weather-wise as we've had the last couple. A cold start will warm up with some sunshine. And then the weekend looks even warmer with highs in the mid-50s with sunshine and even warmer into Sunday with 60s. Nothing but sunshine and dry. Domination downtown, a 45-30 win over the Jets at Lucas Oil Stadium. Running back Nyheim Hines played a strong game and it started early. Hines scored the first 7 points of the game with a 34-yard touchdown. We caught up with him after the game.
I think that we've done a great job of capitalizing on the runs, and we have a guy to beat, we beat him, or we make the right runs. So.
The Horseshoe went into the second quarter.
The Horseshoe went into the second quarter, tied with the Jets, but Jonathan Taylor picked up a 21-yard touchdown. The Colts led going into the half when Carson Wentz throws the ball to offensive lineman and Ball State grad Danny Pinter for a touchdown. Then in the fourth quarter, the Jets have one more chance, but Bobby Okereke intercepts a pass, clinching the win for the Colts. The Colts scored the most points in its showdown against the Jets since Week 13 in 2014 against Washington. News 8's Charlie Clifford talked to the coaches and players, including a star who's feeling disrespected.
On the short week, the Colts offense responds. We know that leaving Thursday night. Jonathan Taylor decries to give him more work, puts in his second best game as a pro, cracking 200 yards for the second time. Carson Wentz, Frank Reich called him flawless. Wentz puts together his best passer rating of his career. Defensively, Reich leaves you with this. The pass defense needs to get better. Third-string quarterback, over 300 yards passing. Colts offense, the most points of the Frank Reich era. Get it done against the Jets.
That was really a good performance. You know, the O-line and tight ends played great. Obviously, the backs played great. Carson was really on point. I mean, really on point. Had a couple checks. He did some things that weren't in the game plan to get us to some run checks, got out of some plays, they gave us a couple different looks.
I'd say the one thing from this game and all of these games is we just got to finish a little better in all three phases. Just got to continue to emphasize finishing a little bit better. But I'm so encouraged by what I'm seeing offensively and how we're able to, move the ball in so many different ways.
That was huge. I mean, especially on a short week, kind of forced us. You got to come in right back to work. And it was set up perfectly, primetime game home. So it was set up perfect for us to kind of come in here and bounce back from that loss.
Good to come out here to get a victory. We still got some stuff to clean up, but, it's always fun when you leave this thing with a W. Someone else, when they're talking about the Colts defense and not even mention my name, and, that's a slap in my face. So, just come out and just trying to prove in each and every week that I belong in this league, and I'm going to continue to try to take the ball away.
After the win, Darius Leonard said he believes he is in for the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. Braden Smith leaves with the tricep injury. Stay tuned on that story. Nyheim Hines on Carson Wentz bounce-back performance, telling me Carson Wentz is our leader, and it resonates that he can play in the mud. He can play dirty. And that's certainly having an impact on this team through 9 weeks. They are not done yet at 4-5. For now, Lucas Oil Stadium, Charlie Clifford, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.
And some news that broke this morning. Pfizer says its COVID-19 pill reduces the risk of hospitalization and death by 89%. The drug maker says it's based on data from a study involving high-risk patients. It says this is an interim analysis and will share more data with the FDA in a peer-reviewed paper. And this morning, 2 Indianapolis doctors are offering advice to families considering the COVID-19 vaccine for their youngest children. As News 8's medical reporter, Dr. Mary Gillis, explains this message to parents on both sides of the vaccine debate.
First, it was the elderly and vulnerable populations. Then came the general public, 18 years and older. That quickly led to kids as young as 12. Now, children between the ages of 5 and 11 years old are eligible for the Pfizer vaccine. Dr. Sarah Boslett, director of primary care at Riley Hospital for Children, tells me all parents should get their child vaccinated immediately.
The data is really good. When we look at
The main goal for this vaccine is to prevent hospitalizations and death. And we have seen a significant increase in both hospitalizations and death from COVID in children in this past year. The sample size was very good, making sure we've tested enough children to feel comfortable and confident in the results.
But is 4,658 children tested really enough to conclude the vaccine is safe for kids this young? Dr. Romuletti, chief physician executive at Community Health, says maybe not. He says while we may see children test positive for COVID-19, the majority of them are not getting sick. He recommends parents take the wait-and-see approach.
I'm not going to say they don't get sick at all, but it's so rare that they get sick. If your child is very healthy and you're concerned about the safety, it actually is okay to wait and watch. I think that's okay. So I don't think it's critical unless they're going to be around other vulnerable people or they themselves are vulnerable for health conditions.
Studies show while children do get infected with the coronavirus, cases are rarely severe and deaths as a result even rarer. This is because a child's immune system is much different than an adult's. According to Yale University researchers, children have two molecules in the diffusion space between their lungs and bloodstream. The two molecules are called interleukin 17A and interferon gamma. These molecules protect respiratory infections, including the coronavirus, from entering their body. In addition, according to researchers out of Berlin, kids' naval cavities, a main point of entry for COVID-19, are armed with pre-activated cells that protect against infection. These cells fade with age, which is why adults are hit harder and account for more hospitalizations and deaths.
Again, that was News 8's medical reporter, Dr. Mary Gillis. Both doctors agree that parents should consult their child's primary care provider before deciding whether to give their child the vaccine.
It's been with us for years now. Joe Biden and the federal government's play here is so egregious and really so insidious is that this is not a workplace issue. It's been with us.
The state of Indiana is suing to stop the federal government's COVID-19 vaccine mandate. Soon after OSHA announced rules requiring shots for businesses with more than 100 workers, Governor Holcomb directed the state's attorney general to sue. AG Todd Rokita calls the mandate excessive overreach. And the government estimates about 84 million people now have until January 4th to get the shots. Those who opt not to get vaccinated will have to test negative for the virus once per week and wear a mask while at work. People looking for work at the affected companies will have to show proof of vaccination. The president and CEO of the Indiana Chamber of Commerce says the timing for the mandate could not be worse.
We may have employees leaving the larger firms that are subject to this rule, 100 and more employees, and going to companies that have less than 100 employees that aren't subject to this rule. We believe that employers should continue to have the right and the authority to determine the safety protocols and what's best for their employees and their customers as it relates to the COVID-19 virus.
Employers would also have to offer paid time off for vaccinations and testing. And we also spoke to Indiana Congressman Andre Carson about the mandate. He says he agrees with President Biden and says the mandate is needed to restart the economy.
COVID has wreaked havoc on our economy. I think we've seen a dip. We are now on the incline, but we have to do much more. And in the midst of so many contentious legislative battles, we're battling right now to pass a Build Back Better and the bill for the infrastructure bill. And with so much contention, I think that Biden has to demonstrate some kind of leadership because the American people are suffering, you know.
Carson says there's nobody better than the president to be bold and make a statement about employees and how they're treated. Today, the trial begins in the shooting of Ahmaud Arbery. Outside the courthouse in Georgia, there are rallies, now a daily ritual. Inside, Greg McMichael, Travis McMichael, and William Bryan face the judge and jury. Prosecutors say the McMichaels chased Arbery down and shot him while Bryan followed and recorded the death. Defense attorneys claim the shooting was self-defense. Race is a major theme of the case. Arbery was black. The defendants are white. 11 of the jurors are white after defense actions that the judge described as intentionally discriminatory. Arbery's father spoke yesterday.
The reason I'm disappointed because, you know, my son was killed racially. Right. And they started trying to lie that it ain't racial. They got racial lawyers. They are racial. And now you got a juror like 1955.
We will carry the opening statements live on Wish TV, and you can expect that to happen in the 9 o'clock hour of daybreak, so be sure to tune in. Also today, the possible passing of President Biden's $1.9 trillion and growing domestic policy package and the $1 trillion infrastructure bill. White House officials have been working the phones in hopes of locking in support. Leaders seem to have the votes in the House for the Build Back Better bill, but Democratic Senator Joe Manchin still does not agree that paid family leave should be a part of it.
With all the respect in the world for the point of view he represents, I disagree. I think that this is appropriate for this legislation. It fits very comfortably with child care, health care, home care, family and medical leave, and it has the full support of our caucus.
I don't think it belongs in the bill, and I'll tell you why. That's a piece of legislation that really is needed from the standpoint if we do it and do it right. When there's participation between the employer and the employee, from the small companies, small businesses that I represent all over West Virginia and all over the country, but basically it should be participation. We can do that in a bipartisan way. We can make sure it's lasting.
The president has few votes to spare the narrowly divided House and none when the bill ultimately arrives for consideration in the evenly split Senate. A troubling trend ahead of the bitter cold. We soon may find that the winter gear we need won't be in stores due to the supply chain crisis. We're talking shovels, ice scrapers, and salt. Staff at Cardwell Home Center, it's a local hardware store, says because of the supply chain, going forward, they don't know how stocked they'll be. There are empty shelves where winter gear products should be, an issue Cardwell Home Center is seeing as they're getting shipments in. But as we get closer to the snow, they don't think they'll get the product in when you, the customer, will need it. They suggest buy now and stock up because they're not limiting their customers on how much product they can buy.
We prided ourselves on having a very well fill rate on all of our orders before the pandemic, but since the pandemic started, we've had very low fill rates, and it's been a real struggle for us. We've had to source from other places to get what we need and provide those avenues for our customers.
Prices have gone up on some items, but that's all because of the suppliers. They're raising prices and need to make up the loss. Cardwell Home Center is not the only hardware store experiencing the issue. News 8 called 10 other stores all throughout Indianapolis, and they all said they're having issues with the supply chain. In your multicultural spotlight, the work of Project Prisms and Indy Pride as they help LGBTQ young people. News 8's multicultural reporter Katira Winfrey talked to organizers who say there is much more to be done.
Data shows about 40% of the state's homeless youth identify as LGBTQ. That's according to Indiana Youth Group CEO Chris Paulson.
Unfortunately, it's very common.
Indiana Youth Group oversees Project Prism. It's celebrating 1 year. It's the state's largest rapid LGBTQ youth rehousing organization.
There's gradually more support and people realizing that LGBTQ people are just people. And they deserve support.
Based on their needs, the youth in the program are placed in individual apartments. Paulson says the housing issues don't stand alone. Many can't find a home because they don't have a job, and many can't find jobs because they don't have a home.
They experience job insecurity at a much higher rate than cisgender heterosexual people.
4 years ago, Indy Pride started holding LGBTQ career fairs, bringing in companies with track records of providing inclusive workspaces. That's because before 2020, there were no federal workplace protections.
It's awesome for us to be able to showcase the employers that have already done that work and that are continuing to already, go the extra mile.
Although the Civil Rights Act of 1964 had gender protections, it wasn't until June of 2020 that sexual orientation and gender identity were included under those protections.
Really important that the federal government mandates this on a national level so that there's not nearly as much confusion among folks between, state to state.
I'm Katira Winfrey, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.
This has been your News 8 Daily for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway, online at wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV. And have a great weekend, everybody.
The News 8 Daily 8 is sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling. Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast on News 8 Daily 8 with Kylie Conway. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.